Across Canada, there are hundreds of memorials and monuments, all commemorating the contributions of Canadians in various wars. These symbols of remembrance have had, and continue to have, an important role in shaping the legacy of wars in this country. In the heart of downtown Vancouver, between the modern conveniences of a car park and a bar, is one of these symbols, the Angel of Victory. Built just 3 years after World War I, the Angel of Victory War Memorial, like other monuments constructed at the time, reflects the role Canada played in the war and how the nation coped with and interpreted its aftermath. Commissioned by the Canadian Pacific Railway Company, the Angel of Victory was created in 1921 by sculptor Coeur de Lion McCarthy as part of a trio of identical statues that were erected in Vancouver, Winnipeg, and Montreal. These statues, along with gold plaques placed at stations across the country, were clear in their purpose to commemorate those in the service of the Canadian Pacific Railway Company who, at the call of king and country, left all that was dear to them, endured hardship, faced danger, and finally passed out of sight of men by the path of duty and self-sacrifice, giving up their own lives that others might live in freedom. The Canadian Pacific Railway had played a large part in bringing British Columbia into Confederation, and by the early 20th century it had been incorporated into Canada's larger national identity as the largest employer in the country. It was no surprise then that at the outbreak of war, the CPR encouraged its employees to enlist, pledging to provide 6 months' pay and job security to those who left to fight. Close to 12,000 employees of the CPR enlisted in the Canadian Armed Forces, and over 1,000 of these men became casualties of the war. On the home front, the CPR provided more than 50 ships to be commandeered for the war effort. After armistice, the Canadian Pacific Railway formed a large part of the Canadian Overseas Railway Construction Corps, helping rebuild Europe's railways. Due to their cooperation, the CPR and its employees were an integral part of Canada's efforts during World War I, and the company's leadership felt they had a responsibility to acknowledge these contributions. Thus, the Angel of Victory was built. Standing 7 feet tall, the Angel of Victory depicts an angelic woman lifting up a limp soldier, one arm raised towards the heavens. This female winged figure is not one unique to McCarthy's sculptures. She first emerged as an icon in 1863 after the recovery of an ancient Greek statue. Over the following 50 years, winged victory evolved into a culturally recognizable image, and after 1918 she became a common motif in World War I memorials, appearing across Canada in various forms. McCarthy's Angel of Victory inhibits a slightly different role than that of other monuments, shepherding a dead or dying soldier not to victory, but to the afterlife. This stark image has been interpreted by some as glorifying death at battle, and by others, especially in the present day, as showing the brutality of war. This first interpretation is one that arose in the aftermath of World War I, putting emphasis on these fallen soldiers attaining immortality in the afterlife. World War I was the greatest loss of life Canada had experienced up to that point, with 66,000 total casualties. The country was grieving on a national scale, and monuments like the Angel of Victory provided their families with the consolation that these men would live on through their sacrifices in the name of freedom. The imagery of the statue speaks to a thoughtfulness on the war's emotional impact, as does the fact that, quote, in each case the war memorial was actually unveiled by the father or the mother of one of those who in lifetime served the Canadian Pacific long and faithfully in the district where the memorial has been erected.
Today, the Angel of Victory still stands in front of Vancouver's waterfront station, now a transport hub visited by 13 million people each year. The memorial itself has fallen into a degree of disrepair. Winged Victory's reef is no more, the bronze facade of the statue is turned green, and soot marks are streaked down the bodies of both soldier and angel. Yet, despite these signs of age, the memorial is still a striking image that draws the eyes of those who pass it, invoking contemplation about the conflict it commemorates and its casualties. When it was built in 1921, the Angel of Victory was part of a first wave of war memorials being erected across Canada, and the 100-odd years since, it has become one of thousands, honoring Canada's role in numerous wars. War memorials, by their very nature, are built once a war is over and soldiers can be finally laid to rest. Therefore, they become imbued with the narratives war has left in its wake, whether that is the righteousness of the conflict, of a nation that universally came together, or of the glory of death in battle. In the 21st century, Canada's war monuments can provide crucial insight into how these conflicts have been interpreted by the public, and the ways war has transformed the country.